Hello, and welcome to my channel. I'm Anna the Wolf, a storyteller, and I welcome you into the deep woods where we'll be journeying today. In the past, we've gone to see the fox who showed up right when we were in serious jeopardy of becoming stuck in one place forever. However, we elected to follow him into the forest, and off you go. And it's in that place that I can hear your footsteps softly falling on the moss. And we pass through streams, over the bracken, under hollowed out logs, slipping our feet along, feeling in the darkness with our hands, until just the faintest opening in a hillside makes itself evident, and the fox nods. This is the place. And you decide, after you've watched it for some time, that maybe it's worth going in. Just maybe there's something of merit inside of that den. After all, the fox was willing to open his abode to you. It would be rude at this point to really ignore his request. So in you go, on your hands and knees, through tangles of bracken and roots and the smell of damp earth surrounding you, until it suddenly becomes sweet air, filled with straw tucked into all the crevices, and a wee little fire burning in the corner, and a pot-bellied stove. And Mr. Fox pours us each a cup of tea, and you can't help but notice, looking around, that dangling from the ceiling on thin threads are little shiny items that have been collected. There's a pocket watch, a dagger, bits of tinsel, just anything that might have caught his eye from somebody else's garden that he felt maybe he needed himself. So you ask him about these particular items, and he says, foxes, we like shiny things. Don't we all, though? I can relate. Shiny things are grand. But there's one particular corner that just feels a little colder. And in that corner, you focus your attention and notice there's an intricately carved box. It's no bigger than maybe this big. And the hinges seem rather rusty, and there's a padlock on it. And as you watch it, the fox watches your gaze fall upon it. He said, yeah, you don't really want to be looking at that box. And he said, well, why not? And he said, well, that box is it's full of things that require a lock. He said, well, I guess your shinies are nice enough. I'll leave it be. He said, that's a fine idea. I've got to duck out for just a minute to get us a goose for dinner. I'll be back momentarily. Sit tight by the fire. I'll be right back. And so off he scampered out the hollow, and you were left on your own in the den, looking at the beautiful shinies. But something just whispered from that box. And even though he'd said that box is really just not for you, of course it became the only thing you wanted to know about then. And so you went over to the corner and looked over your shoulder, and no fox. Besides which, would he really mind if you picked up a box? I don't think so. The fox seemed very generous. So you brought it back over and held it in your lap and turned it around and looked at it from every angle. And the padlock was just so big compared to the rest of the box. Like, what on earth? And you looked everywhere through all the shinies, and there was no key to open it anywhere. You dug through the straw. You became frantic, just wanting to know what on earth could be in there. And finally, you sat down and you looked at it with great intention and great meaning. And you felt that glow from within you. And the smallest beam of light from your chest reached out in the shape of a key that fit directly in the padlock. And before you could unthink the thought, you thought, turn the lock to the right, turn the lock to the right. And no sooner had you thought it than the lock turned to the right and the padlock fell away. And then you were sitting there with the option to leave the lock on the ground and the box shut, or to open the box. And you know what had to be done. Of course, you were that curious person. So you opened the box. And you could hear, like a reverse wind, a sucking noise. And you leaned in to look and see what could be contained in there. And the further you looked, all you could see was blackness and darkness. And you put your ear to the box and you heard it. It was a sorrowful song. So sad. Oh, oh. It was sweet and sorrowful, deep and tender. And just then you heard padding footsteps behind you, and you knew the fox was coming back, and you slammed the box shut and you tucked it back on the shelf. You tried to put the lock back on, but it just didn't sit right. And in came Mr. Fox, and he said, "Something's different about my den. Did you open the box?" You said, "How could I? There's no key." He said, "You and I both know what the key to the box is." He said, "All right, it's true. I opened the box." He said, "What did you see? What did you see?" He said, "I just saw blackness." "What do you keep in there? What's at the bottom of that?" And the fox said, "That box holds something different for every single person. It's a song of sorrows." And I go, "Oh, I heard the song of sorrows when I opened the box, and it was as though the box was filled by 1,000 nights of tears being cried. And I closed the box, but part of me wanted to keep it open." And the fox, in all his wisdom, said, "You know, I'm going to give you this box, but you have to balance it with the shinies. You must have a pocket watch, you must have a pocket knife, and you must keep your compass." And he snipped them all from the ceiling and handed them to you. And you tucked them all into your pockets for the journey ahead, for the fox had given you the key. And that is chapter 2 of the Transformative Journey. And I hope to see you for the next chapter. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. And I hope if you enjoyed this story, you'll give it a like, maybe subscribe, and join myself, Anna the Wolf, on the very next path we follow into the wilderness. Thanks so much. Goodbye.